Om Namo Narayanaya. This is a recording of a talk of James Swartz on the Bhagavad Gita at Yoga-Vidya Bad Meinberg near Hanover in Germany.
Shiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guradmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmiham Om. Chapter 9, Bhagavad Gita, King of Secrets. What does that mean? There's this notion in the spiritual world, that, don't tell anybody about this. This is secret knowledge. Nobody should know. You've got to hide it away. Keep it. It's special. If I have a Rolex watch, it's worth $20,000, and I put that watch here, it will be gone in 5 minutes if I leave. If I go out, even if I go to the bathroom for 5 minutes, boom, it will be gone. But the self, you can leave the self sitting right here all day long on any street corner in the world, and no one will take it. The most valuable thing there is, and no one will pick it up. It hides itself. And how does it do that? Very simply. It's just me. You can't imagine that the self is just ordinary me. Just this simple consciousness that knows what is happening. That's all. There's nothing to it. When you understand that, you're so surprised. In fact, usually people make a big story when they find that out. They start ringing the bell, get everybody to come to church, they put up a website, they give themselves a fancy spiritual name, and they want disciples to teach the self too. But actually, those people really don't know what it is, because if they knew what it was, they would keep their mouth absolutely shut, because you will be very embarrassed that you were seeking for this thing called the self for so long, because it's been you all along. Swami thought, we just don't know what we're seeking. The one that's doing the seeking is what he's seeking. The seeker is the sought. You just don't take yourself into account in every situation. The object's what counts, not me, the subject. And that's why it's hidden. It's always present. You're always experiencing the self. There's never 1 second ever where you're not experiencing the self. Waking, dream, and deep sleep, you're always experiencing the self. But yet what? You say, I'm looking for the self. It's funny. When I was seeking for the self, I didn't know this also, incidentally, as you may know. Like everybody else, I didn't know what it was. And one day I came back from India, I was old days. I was a hippie. I had real long hair and a big beard and really funny, weird clothing, And I came from a respectable family, and my mother was the town judge. So she was a lady, and she was squared away. She had her hair done every day. She wore beautiful clothes, and everybody in town knew her and respected her and everything. So I came back one time. She didn't know I was coming to visit. I just came back from India, and she was outside on the patio having tea with the ladies of the town. The ladies. And it was springtime, and the flowers were blooming, and it was all very elegant. And the ladies were sitting there sipping their tea and eating their little cookies. And and I walked in, and I just looked, I'm wild. I got my big hair out like this, and a long beard, and funny orange clothes, and all this stuff, beads, and everything. And the ladies, most of them didn't recognize me. They were kind of shocked. But mother was always cool. She was just very cool. And she just turned and she looked and she said, "Oh, and this is my son James. He's been in India seeking himself." And all the ladies went, put their little napkins up to their mouth. It's so silly. I'm seeking me. How does that work? Well, it doesn't work. You're already you're only the self. That's all you ever are. That's all you're ever going to be. And it's no big deal. It's just you. Just simple, ordinary, unconcerned, ever-present witness awareness. It's just that part of you that knows what you know. That's it. No big deal. When you discover that, you totally relax and you're completely happy and your seeking stops. You're not getting the self, ever. You're not going to get enlightened, ever. You're just going to get rid of the neurosis of seeking. It's just one day you just realize, oh, it's me, and then you stop seeking. And you feel so happy. Because that desire to experience something or to be something or to know something, that desire just disappears. And it leaves you clean and simple and pure like you are. Nothing else. So that's why it's a secret. We over and over and over again, we have to make this point that there's nothing, moksha or liberation is not an event. It's not something that happens. It's your nature. You're always free. You will not become free. You're free right now. When you think you aren't free, you're free. It's not going to happen. It's you. And that's why it's hidden away. It's so secret. Because we believe. We don't. Because when we started this text, Krishna said, he said there's many notions of enlightenment. He was being very nice. I'm not as nice as Krishna. And I've gotten quite a reputation now because I'm willing to question these ideas that are there in the spiritual world about how you can experience this thing called consciousness or experience God and all that sort of thing. Because it's that notion, that experiential notion, that's causing all the frustration. You're trying to experience something that you're already experiencing. And if you read all these books, please don't read my book. Don't read my autobiography. You've read that? Maybe some of you read my autobiography. Oh my God. Oh, you'll think, oh Jesus, what an amazing thing. And people say, do you need to have all those experiences to get enlightened? I said, no way. And I pointed out in there, no way. The experience of these spiritual experiences, these enlightenment experiences, these non-dual experiences, these transcendental experiences, these oneness experiences and union experiences and all that, NDEs, near death, all those experiences, they just can be a huge, huge problem. They can burden you with the notion that, that an experience like that, or those experiences, are actually enlightenment. But if it's an experience that you don't have right now, it will go. Any experience that you're not having right now at this minute will go. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're the Buddha, if you're Jesus Christ, it doesn't matter. If you're God himself and you have some experience, that you have an experience that you're not having at this moment, then it will go and it will be useless. You are the ever-experienced consciousness, ever-experienced and ever-experiencing consciousness. With objects, you experience yourself plus objects, and without objects, you experience yourself. And that is very difficult to appreciate, simply for lack of the right idea. And it's easier to teach somebody who doesn't know anything spiritual. I had an ashram in California years ago, and there was a young boy next door. He was 9 years old. And he used to come almost every day. He had a real spiritual quality, and he used to like the chants. We chanted every day. We had really, really hot chants. We had really good meditations. Sometimes he'd come for the meditations. We'd just sit. And then I'd give a little Vedanta talk also. And one day, after one Saturday, in fact, we were just sitting in the backyard talking, a bunch of us, and he came over. And he said to me, he said, hey, Jim. I was known as Jim. He said, hey, Jim, I want to ask you a question. He said, what is the self you're talking about? And I explained it to him, and he said, oh, I knew that. I know that all along. That's me, isn't it? I said, yeah. And to this day, he's still a self. He knows who he is. He's had a happy life. Everything was fine. What, 5 minutes it took for him to figure it out? Because he had no notion. I was in business with a guy once. He didn't know who I was either, but he'd sort of heard. And one day he said to me, same thing. And about five minutes maybe, I told him. He said, oh, I knew that all along. I knew that ever since I was a kid. He was a happy guy before, during, and after. He wasn't seeking, and he didn't intend to seek. He said, I know that. He said, I'm always good. So we get these funny ideas, and we have to, just continually examine our beliefs and see why it is that we don't feel complete. Because you're as complete as you'll ever be. There's no experience can complete you. So that's the idea. Krishna said, because your heart is pure, obviously this was the qualifications. Because he's supposedly qualified. Arjuna let's assume that Arjuna got qualified altogether. At least Arjuna's heart is pure. He realizes he's in over his head, and he was looking for the way out. He wants to know what's beyond dharma and adharma. He wants to know who he is. And so, in Vedanta, as we said over and over and over again, and please get the book and read the qualifications, or get the on the website is Vivekachudamani, or get the video or the audio of Vivekachudamani and listen to the qualifications. So that's what a pure heart. If you're qualified, then your mind, your heart is pure, and then we can teach you. And that means a discriminating person. You're a discriminating person. You know that what the self is and what the not self is. So you're clear about that on that topic. You're a dispassionate person. A dispassionate person means somebody who's indifferent to the results of their actions. Now, that's a strange qualification, isn't it? Why is that? Why is that such a difficult qualification? Indifferent to the results of my actions? No way. I'm not indifferent to the results of my actions. I'm doing my actions. Why? Because I want those, because my happiness and my well-being depends upon those results. If I don't get what I want, I'm not going to be happy. So naturally I'm emotional, isn't it? And Vedanta says, no, you're not qualified if you care about what happens. That's called dispassion, vairagya. The third qualification, control of the mind. That means what? Observing the mind from what? Observing your thoughts and your feelings and your experiences, what? From the point of view of awareness. Looking at everything in light of the fact that I'm awareness. Control of the senses. He talks over and over and over again about control of the senses. Why? Because if you act, whenever you act, you create karma. And you can only act with your sense organs. And if you don't have your sense organs under control, you'll act impulsively, not deliberately. You should act deliberately. You shouldn't act just on the basis of your feelings. Understand? A person who just acts on the basis of his feelings is going to have a lot of, without thinking about it first, is going to have a lot of problems. The biggest sense organ to control, and this is the most important sadhana you can do, is called Vaktapas. Tapas means a discipline or control, and Vaktapas means what? It means control of this tongue. And that basically boils down to speech. Your speech should be non-violent. Non-violent means what? Doesn't produce pain or suffering for yourself or somebody else. It should be pleasant and truthful, but not so truthful that it hurts other people. A little white lie is good now and again to spare people's feelings. You don't have to tell people what you think, how you feel. And you don't have to tell people what the truth is. If somebody asks you to please tell them the truth about themselves, then you can reply, but you should be very careful the way you speak to them, because if you don't control your words, you will get bad karma. First of all, you'll feel guilty, and secondly, they will become angry, and it will set up a chain of bad karma, of bad thoughts in your mind. So control of the senses is a very important, extremely important qualification. The next qualification is called swadharma, and we talked about that. Swadharma has two points. One is not trying to fix or change other people or the world. Do-gooders. If you're a do-gooder, if you think you just got to help everybody, please stop. Unless somebody asks you for help, then what? Then you can give help. But trying to help people because you see their suffering, it means what? You're doing their dharma and not yours. And if you do their dharma, you won't be working out what you should be working out. And they won't be working out what they're working out because you're doing their dharma for them. So they will become dependent and lose their self-reliance. So, forget the do-gooding business. Forget the changing the world and fixing the world and making everybody happy. If a person's suffering, he or she should be suffering. There's a reason. That's a result of that action. And that suffering is good for them. And unless they want a way out like Arjuna, and they actually surrender to you, then what? It's none of your business. It's not your fault. And if they are suffering, your little action isn't going to change it. There's a deeper reason. And as soon as you fix them, they will get unfixed again and start suffering all over again. And all you'll do is waste a lot of your precious time trying to change your, other people or change the world. So we're not do-gooders. We're not trying to change the world. We see, as Krishna said earlier in chapter 4, the world's perfect. He said everything in the three worlds is perfect. So don't worry. And the other is trying to change myself. We talked about this also carefully. Don't try to be something that you're not. Don't try to become spiritual or pure or holy or perfect or good. And walk around with this smarmy spiritual smile on your face, trying to convince everybody that you're in deep bliss when there's pain behind your funny smile. Have you ever been to those spiritual events or those ashrams where people have the bliss look? They're not blissful. They have the bliss look. And they talk bliss, and they have a funny little bliss language. They have their own special blissful language. Forget it. Stop trying to be enlightened, be happy, be blissful. Accept yourself as you are. That's called swadharma. Then titiksha. Titiksha means what? Suffering the little pinpricks of life with equanimity. All this whining and complaining that you see in these societies where people are spoiled and entitled. The slightest little thing goes wrong and they get emotionally upset and they start complaining. What about this? What about that? Always whining and complaining and grumbling about things. Titiksha is too bad. Suck it up. Act like a man and get on with it. Like I love my wife. My wife loves her mother. Her mother doesn't like me, and I don't like my mother-in-law. Okay? Fair enough. It's good. It's fine. Now my mother-in-law wants to come and visit on the weekend. And I don't want her to come, but my wife wants her to come. Now what am I going to do? And she doesn't want to see me, but what? She loves her daughter, so she wants to see her daughter. So I've got to put up with my mother-in-law for the weekend, and she has to put up with me for the weekend. Now what do I? She thinks that the daughter could have done a better job. She could have married somebody decent. Instead of me, I just lay around, I drink beer, I watch the television, watch the sports, I'm not ambitious. So my mother-in-law, so we have a problem there. Now, how do I behave when my mother-in-law comes? Do I say little catty things? Do I ignore her? Or do I come, so happy to see you, and give her a big hug. Oh, love you, glad you could come. And what? I suffer inside quietly. That's called titiksha. That's a classy person. Understand? What else? Samadhana, focus. Keeping your mind on the topic all the time. Consistent focus. when I was young, I always been pretty good at focusing, but when I got in my late teens and early 20s, I got this absolute mad desire to get rich, to make money. And I started making money very quickly. I was just luck, I guess. I don't know if I was good or I was lucky, whatever it was. And I got so that I was thinking about money, well, and sex, but money was first, because if you had the money, then you got the sex. So I didn't worry about the sex, because if you had the money, then all the girls wanted to have sex with you. So that worked out really well. That's all I thought about all day long was money. Morning, noon, and night. Every single relationship, everything that was always in my head was, how can I make $1 out of this situation? Then, fortunately, that vasana burned out when I was about 24, 25. And then the spiritual vasana came up. I had a big epiphany, and I decided I'm going to seek for God. And it was the greatest help. Why? Because I already knew how to think about one thought all day long. Day after day, week after week, month after. I already knew how to do that. Now I had another thought, and I could just switch, and I had that discipline that comes from what? Holding my mind on the topic and going forward with it. Just no matter what, always, always, always keeping that thought. So that's called samadhana. And then faith, we talked about that. Faith in the scripture and the teacher, pending the result of your investigation. In other words, once you've heard the teaching, don't criticize the teaching. Assume that if you don't understand the teaching, you're wrong, not the teaching. And try to figure out what the teaching is saying. Have faith that the teaching's correct. And then apply that knowledge to your mind and see if the teaching's not right. That's called faith in the scripture. That faith will go away, what? At a while, that faith will be converted into knowledge. You won't have to believe anymore that it's true. What are we asking you to believe? What are we asking you to believe? Just make it simple. And this is the truth. That you're beautiful. That you're very beautiful. That you don't need anything. That you're pure and perfect. And that your nature is love. That you're lovable. That's what we're saying. Now, why would you have to have faith in something like that? Is there anything more beautiful than that idea, that knowledge? That's knowledge. Is there anything more beautiful than that? Why don't you just accept it right now? Why do you have to have faith in it? Maybe it's true. Why? Because I don't believe that's true. I believe that I'm not beautiful, that I'm not complete, that I need these things. I believe that. My whole search is based upon the idea that I'm not pure and perfect and holy, and complete. And I don't ever examine that belief to see if that belief is true. I take that belief to be true. And yet when the scripture tells you are beautiful, we have to ask you to believe in it. But you just automatically believe that what you're not nice, that you're not beautiful, that you're not complete. That's so strange, isn't it? That's what all I'm asking you. All the scripture's asking you. Believe that you're beautiful, that you're holy, that you're beautiful, you're pure, you're lovable, you're so lovable. Understand? That's faith. And then apply this teaching, be sincere, and then you'll see that it's true. That's called moksha. Then you'll see that what we say is true. And finally, mumukshutvam, burning desire to be free. Not just, it's very fashionable to be a seeker, you know. Now, particularly now, it's gotten big. Seeking's big. It's like, I don't know, probably hundreds of thousands of people now are seeking the self from the internet and from all these years. The neo world is a big world, satsang world, lots of people seeking. But a lot of those people, it's just a fashion. It's just a lifestyle. You know, you get the cute little Tibetan hat, and you get the little Om t-shirt, you know, and you jet off to India for a month or two, and you get a hug from Amachi, and you go hang out with the Dalai Lama, and you go get your satsang with Muji, and you build up your spiritual resume and your credentials, so you know, for your spiritual autobiography, and you're just so cool. You got the boys, they get a little stick, so they look like a sage, you know, and got little beads and all that holy stuff, and it's like a fashion. And all your other friends are doing it too. Oh, look-alike. And yeah, you do want freedom, but hey, I'd rather be a cool spiritual person, really. And I'd rather be part of the Sangha, really, and know that all my friends are cool spiritual people too. So you do have a little bit of desire to be free, but basically it's a small desire. And then there's the middling people. They're into it, but they still got one foot in the world. They still got one foot in samsara. They're still hoping, maybe if it's good to seek. I'm pretty sincere, but hey, if Mrs. Right comes along, I'll have to think twice about this whole spiritual thing, because I always wanted to have a child, and I always wanted to have a nice little house, and cozy. I want a little cozy life. Maybe it's still possible for me. They want it, but they don't want it. And then there's the ones who say, that's all I want. That's it. Forget it. I'm ready to walk on hot coals to get there. No matter what. They don't care about anything. All they care about is they're obsessed with this idea of freedom. That's how the burning desire. So that's what he means by a pure heart. Your heart's pure. Your motivation's clear. And you're qualified. And if you don't check up, if you don't match up on all these qualifications, then what? Do karma yoga, do jnana yoga, do your stuff, and you will get qualified. You qualify yourself by getting on the path and following the path as it's meant to be. So he said, because your heart is pure, I will explain clearly and in detail the secret and immediate knowledge which will release you from inauspiciousness. That means suffering. This easily accomplished knowledge. Why does he say it's easy? At other places he says it's very hard, and in other places he says it's very easy. Say, well, can't this guy get it right? Is it easy or is it hard? Which way? What is it? I want to know. Well, it's very hard if you're not qualified, and it's very easy if you are. That's what he means. That's why he says easy here. He said because his heart is pure, and Arjuna really wants to know. So even Arjuna's a little slow in the brain, and that's okay. His heart is pure, and he's going to get it. He's got the qualifications. So this easily accomplished knowledge, the king of all knowledges in secret, is not opposed to dharma. It is the greatest purifier. Karma yoga is great. It will purify you, but it's slow, gentle, evolutionary, little by little by little. But self-knowledge, that's quick. Because there you're cutting off the karma at the thought level, at the desire level, before it has a chance to manifest. In karma yoga, what? You have to act out your desires, so you have to do the actions. So you're going to what? You're working on your mind vasana by vasana, thought by thought, desire by desire, experience by experience. So it's slow and it's good. It's patient and slow. But once you get a little bit of space, in other words, once your mind gets a little calm, then you practice jnana yoga, you practice this discrimination, it goes very fast. Because you're nipping it right here before it has a chance to become at the kama level, before it has a chance to become karma. So you kill it here, you don't have to act it out. And you just do it on a thought-by-thought basis. So it's the greatest purifier. It's fast, it's clean, it's efficient. But you need the karma yoga to prepare yourself to do it. Maybe you can do it now. You may be prepared. You might not need karma yoga. But generally you do. Some people have unconsciously figured out karma yoga without knowing it's karma yoga. They're just, it's built in. And then they hear about karma yoga and say, I've had that all along. These are basically happy people. We call them dharmies. And they're people who consider the situation in every case and who make a contribution to life, however it is. They're not just thinking of themselves first. They're thinking of the situation. They're including that. And it's important for them to look after the situation, before they take what they need for themselves. You should get what you want out of the situation, but you should also make a contribution. Life is a two-way street. It's a give and take. And you should give a little more than you take. Okay. Those who lack faith and self-knowledge do not realize me and remain caught in the whirlpool of samsara. He said, I cannot be experienced. What? Ramji, you just said that you're experiencing yourself all the time. Now it says here, you're telling me, Krishna's telling me I can't be experienced. What does that mean? I can't be experienced as an object. That's what he means. I cannot be experienced as an object. I'm always experienced as the subject. Remember, what did we say reality was? There's two dimensions to reality. Two orders of, let's open that window a little bit. It's pretty hot in here. Or maybe even the door gets some a little bit of cool air. Is the heat on?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
No wonder. There we go. Whew.
Only a little.
Huh?
It's only a little.
He only turned it down a little?
Yeah, what's only on 2 or 3.
Oh, okay. Good. Now, see, it's almost civilized in here. I cannot, okay. We said that even though reality is non-dual consciousness, it has two orders. There's two dimensions to it. The subjective dimension and the objective dimension. The subject and the object. They're both consciousness. The subject is consciousness and the object is consciousness also. Right? But what? Consciousness plus an object, a thought, is what? An experience. Consciousness minus a thought is consciousness. But what? This jiva cannot experience this. The jiva, what you call you, the experiencing entity, is actually an object. The person you are is known to you, awareness. And that person can't experience you because it's an object. In other words, this reflected self that I am is not conscious. It just looks like it's conscious. And if it is conscious, it could only experience what? Objects. It can't experience the subject because the subject is subtler than the subtlest, it said in here. In other words, it's so subtle that you can't experience it. That's why he says here you can't experience it, because he's talking to what? Arjuna's jiva. And I take myself to be a jiva and I want to experience what? Consciousness. See why it doesn't work? See why all this searching for a spiritual experience doesn't work? All spiritual experiences are only in samsara. Yeah, that's good. All spiritual experiences are only in samsara. You never, ever get out of samsara to experience anything. Why? Because you're always out of samsara anyway. All the experience you're having is out of samsara anyway. You're only experiencing yourself when you're experiencing an object, but you don't know that. You think you're experiencing an object, and you think the object is something other than you, but you're actually only experiencing yourself ever. But Maya makes it look like what? I'm experiencing the object. Just a trick.
Asking for clarification.
Yeah.
Yeah. You say experience will not set you free, only knowledge will.
Yeah.
But we have seen that knowledge is an object. So knowing is an experience because it's consciousness and an object, which is knowledge.
Knowledge is an object, yes. And what is it going to set you free from?
So knowing is an experience.
No, knowing is knowing. The self is ever knowing. It's self-knowing and self-experiencing. It's not an experience. If you say an experience, that means it's a discrete experience. It's a special or unique experience. It's just experience. The self, It's just experience. It's not a unique. Every experience comes out of the self, doesn't it? Every experience comes out of the self. What's the source of it? Where all your experiences come from? Are you over there now experiencing the traffic on the freeway? You're experiencing the traffic on the freeway here. Experience is coming out of you, isn't it? Isn't it? Where is it coming from? Is it, you know this with your thoughts, don't you? And isn't the thought that you're having right now the experience that you're having right now? We said the experience that you're having is just the thought that you're having right now. And if the thought's coming out of you, the experience is coming out of you. Where's the experience coming from but you? I'm not going over there and climbing into your mind and dumping the experience in your mind, am I? How could I do that? Because there's everybody in the room. I'd have to be like 25 people to get into 25 minds and dump the same experience into everybody. I can't do that, can I? You're manufacturing the experience of me out of your own consciousness. Every experience that you have is manufactured out of experience. Just like every object is manufactured out of existence, isn't it? Doesn't the book come out of existence? Existence, The elements exist and then the book appears, right? The book's not coming from anything but air, fire, water, earth, and space. That's existence in the form of the elements. The tree's coming out of existence, isn't it? Existence is first, and then tree comes out. We said yesterday the existence doesn't belong to the tree belongs to the existence. Well, existence is just pure experience. It's just the self experiencing itself. So each single experience is what? Is manufactured out of experience, out of you. So how could you get an experience of yourself? Yourself is making experience. Yourself is generating one experience, two experience, endless experience. In fact, it actually just generates three experiences. And then within those three experiences, everything happens to you. What are those three experiences? Waking, dream, and deep sleep. If somebody asks you, how many experiences did you have during the day? What will you say? What will you say? Well, you'll go in your mind and you'll say, well, I woke up, that's one experience, and then I turned off the alarm clock, and then I went back to sleep, and then I woke up, and then I was late for work, so I turned on the coffee machine, then I took a shower, and you go through, I had 800 experiences, or 8,000 experiences today. Is that correct? Did you have You were either awake, or you're asleep, or you're dreaming. Isn't it? And did the waking come from someplace other than you? Did the dream come out of any place but you? Huh? Did the deep sleep come from anywhere but you? When you're in deep sleep, aren't you experiencing yourself? What's the answer? Say yes. Why don't you want to say yes? Why? Because when I say you, you're not thinking the right you. You're thinking the wrong you. You're thinking the waking state entity, aren't you? So when I say you're experiencing yourself, you say, no, that's not right. I'm not there. Isn't it? But you're definitely there, aren't you? How can you say that you slept if you weren't there to experience sleep? You can't say that you slept if there was no experience, could you? There's a word for sleep. Why do they have a word for sleep? People don't invent words for things that don't exist. Huh? They don't, huh? The words are there to describe experiences and objects that exist. Sleep exists, and it exists because I experience sleep. I just don't experience sleep as what? Huh? As a jiva. As the waking state jiva. Do I? I don't experience what? Sleep as a jiva. A waking state jiva. Actually, I am a jiva in the deep sleep state, or I couldn't experience sleep in the way that I normally experience waking. So when I say, aren't you there in deep sleep? You're not sure, but you're definitely there. Why do you want to sleep? If you're not experiencing something, then why do you go to sleep? You precisely go to sleep because what? Because you're getting away from this person for a while. And that mental activity and all those actions and so forth and so on. You want relief from this person. So you lay down and you let that person go, and then what? And then what? You begin to experience, the self experiences itself in that state without you. Without you, jiva. There you're just pure experience of yourself. And what is the pure experience of yourself in deep sleep? What is that? Anandam. Bliss, full. Do you feel any limitations in deep sleep? Do you feel any sense of limitations? You're totally free in deep sleep. You feel bliss and you feel free. That's why everybody likes to sleep. Because at that moment, at that time, at that little short period of time, all your vasanas are dormant. And Ishvara has made your subtle body go dormant. Your subtle body, Ishvara puts your subtle body back into its seed form and relieves you of all the thoughts and feelings and desires and fears that are causing problems for you in the waking state. Ishvara is very kind. He gives you that sleep state so you can recharge your batteries and what? And heal your body and so forth and so on. So you're definitely always present, aren't you? And you're always experiencing. And every experience, where's it coming from? Come on. It's not coming from the outside. See, huh? Every single discrete experience is coming out of me, and it is already, in other words, it's coming out of pure experience. Just like any physical object is coming out of pure existence. You have pure existence, what? Creating physical objects. And pure existence consciousness creates experience objects. So whatever your experience is existence consciousness, right? Taking different forms only. So there's never a moment when you're not experiencing yourself with objects or without objects. Think about it. It's hard because what? Why is it this is such a hard idea to assimilate? You know the answer. The answer is because what? I think I'm what? It's body. I don't take into account the fact that the body is just an experience in me. That the self is what? Created a body. Out of me, out of itself. I think I'm the body. I think I'm the object. So when I think I'm the object, then what? I'm fooled. I identify with the body and my senses tell me that you're out there. My senses tell me that the freeway's out there. But nobody sees the freeway, do they? Even when you're on the freeway, you don't see the freeway. You just see what? The properties of the object as interpreted by your senses. And everybody's senses interpret the same object differently. So could the object have any kind of self-nature or reality of its own? Can't. So at every moment, every second, everything you're experiencing is only you. And he's got to tell Arjuna this because Arjuna thinks he's the body. He thinks he's going to kill somebody, which means the body, and he thinks they're going to be killed because he thinks they're the body. And Krishna doesn't see the bodies. He sees the bodies, but he knows the bodies are mithya. He sees the wood. He doesn't see the chair. He says, you can kill the chair, but you can't kill the wood. You can kill the body, but you can't kill the self. And you're not the killer of the body either. Why? He says, I take care of that. Ishvara takes care of that. Ishvara creates and destroys the body's what? These experiences out of me, out of consciousness, out of me, he said. Ishvara is creating those experiences out of me, out of awareness. Just like a spider creates what? His web out of its own body. Huh? The web is the spider, isn't it? Huh? And when the spider's done with his web, what does he do? He sucks it back into his own body, re-amalgamates the web back into his own body and creates another web somewhere else. And then when he's done with it, he sucks it back into his own body and creates another web somewhere else. In the same way, what? Consciousness, with the help of Ishvara too, manufactures experience. And what? And sucks the experience back and then manufactures a new experience. And then what? Sucks it back, then mixes it up, and then generates it into a new experience. And then sucks it back, mixes it up, makes it clean again, and then makes it into another experience over and over and over again. It just keeps generating experience and experience and experience. You're the experiencer. Understand? No, I only got verse 4. I'm trying to go fast. Okay, take a break and we'll come back.
Thank you for listening to the talk of James Swartz on the Bhagavad Gita, recorded at Yoga-Vidya-Bad Meinberg near Hanover in Germany. More information on shiningworld.com and yoga-vidya.org.